you were below 10K for a few years in the beginning, but once you got that initial momentum, you really just exploded right through that 10K ceiling, and you went 15K, 20K, 25K. And there's something about the way that you approach client getting, you approach freelancing, you approach delivering results for clients that is different, that I believe is the reason that you're at 25K right now.
When I go for the next case study and I crush it, right? I destroy their email list.
In the best way
In
possible.
the best way possible. Disgusting results. And then I go to the next client and I do the same thing over and over again.
What is another thing you would say people stuck at 10K, they just get it wrong, that keeps them stuck at 10K? And
If you want to get paid more in a company or climb up the ranks, it all comes down to upselling for results, not upselling for income.
today I'm here with a copywriter who makes $25,000 every single month, and he's just 19 years old. Johnny, nice to have you here.
What's up?
What's up, man? It's so great that you're here actually in Cape Town, because we've actually got a lot of work done. And, you know, we've actually been working on something behind the scenes for a little while. So I'm really, really excited to share it with, the people that follow us and the people who want to learn more from us. But tell everybody a little bit about, your accomplishments and how you got to the point where you're making $25,000 every single month just at 19 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, I got started 5 years ago. And, I worked all my way up to here today. I've been making $25,000-ish, for almost over a year now. Right. And, I've worked with over close to 50 plus brands, and, they're going across from, 6, 7, 8, 9, or even 10-figure.
10-figure.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I don't just work with like internet marketing companies, but also like corporate companies. I can name one of them, is Fiverr.com. It's actually really cool because, I use Fiverr to get my VAs, and, I hire people on that platform. And every single time when I'm on that platform, it reminds me of like my work there. So it's pretty cool.
So you started on Fiverr,
Yeah.
and now you work with Fiverr.
Yeah. So I went from a copywriter on Fiverr to copywriter for Fiverr.
I love it. It's very, very cool. Now, if you're watching this video and you're not an active copywriter and you don't have clients, you should probably click away right now, because what we're going to be talking about together is much more useful when you're already making a few $1,000s a month from copywriting with clients. Because a lot of the stuff that we talk about, Johnny, like when you get to around 5K to 10K, there's a lot of things you have to do differently than when you get that first client. Getting that first client's not, it's difficult, but it's not the same strategy that you need to use when you get the next few clients, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So don't watch this video if you're not an active copywriter. Go watch something else first, come back, maybe bookmark it or something, and come back when you are making some money as a copywriter. All right, with that said, let's get straight into it. So yeah, Johnny, like you have really outperformed a lot of copywriters, especially at your age. And a lot of copywriters are even 10, 20 years older than you. And many copywriters I work with who have had 10 to 15 years in the game, they still can't crack even 15K months sometimes for quite a while. Whereas, you were below 10K for a few years in the beginning, but once you got that initial momentum, you really just exploded right through that 10K ceiling, and you went, 15K, 20K, 25K. And I mean, with your current trajectory, you're going to be making more than that soon as well.
Yeah. It was like a lot of work up front. You had to work really like a horse in the beginning. And to get into the industry is very hard. I mean, if you just look at any other industry, right? Like to be nobody and break into the industry, to have someone to say, let me pay you a chunk of my company revenue to like get you to work for me. Like it's a bit of work, right? Like, and it took me a while to really get that kind of momentum. I was like 15, 16. And, nobody will really pay attention to me because, I was just still a kid. So I kind of had to fight through that. And, and once I was start getting momentum, like you said, you saw my growth, right? It was not like a straight line. It was, a lot, the zigzag curve, So like, once I really hit that $10,000 a month, everything just started going up, right? Because I get it, I knew what it was take. I knew what it takes to like get to the next level, and everything needs to follow through. So yeah.
You did something very different to many copywriters who get to 10K. They focus a lot on their income They focus on staying at 10K, and there's nothing wrong with that in itself, because a lot of copywriters I've coached as well also do that.
Yeah.
But there's something about the way that you approach client getting, you approach freelancing, you approach delivering results for clients that is different, that I believe is the reason that you're at 25K right now. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, about that, the thing is, when you said people, a lot of copywriters, they focus on the income, right? And they are very ambitious of making more money. And everyone in this industry, they want to make more money. But what they don't get is, like, to command for more dollars, you kind of have to be someone that people will pay a lot of money for. And I knew that very early on. Like, I look at some of the most successful copywriters, they have such big name on their, resume. And I see that, they had crazy client on their resume. And I just thought, maybe that's the way of, like, getting paid more. So my approach the whole time, like, I was working like a horse, right? Like, even though I was working, full time for, a lot of clients, I was trying to go out there and get the next big name, right? Every single time when I came to business, I didn't focus on, like, just over delivering, just on, like, hey, I'm gonna work more hours for you. But it was just purely, I just want to come here. Like, I'll come into the business and I just want to crush it, right? I want to deliver insane result for them, and creating crazy case study, because I knew from a very early on that that one case study that I create, let's say I scale email list from $50,000 a month to like $140,000 a month, that will create me like 10 more deals, and the money that I make today is worthless.
What do you mean by that? It's worthless.
Because the thing is, if you think about it, money come and go, right?
Yeah.
You get paid today. I mean, you can spend that on some rents and some cars. It's gone.
Yeah, you can just, yeah, you're right. You can just pay for whatever, and
Yeah.
you go on a trip somewhere, you let's say you close 5K deal, you just spend that money, right?
And it's gone.
It's gone.
But the real value is not even the client that I'm working with, it's the result I'm creating with that level of client, the case study I'm creating. Because if I want a new car or like a watch, and obviously I don't like buying a lot of stuff, but the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, when you're focusing on the case study, I can create 10 more deals if I want to. If I want another client tomorrow, I can go out there and find new clients, right? Because when I go out there, people say, oh, you've done a lot of cool stuff for the same type of client like me, right? I have case study after case study after case study. I can create money whenever I want to. If you look at Elon Musk, I mean, this, right? Like, if you ask Elon Musk, does he want, 10 billion cash? He doesn't want that. He'd rather have Tesla, right? Because if he wants 10 billion, he can create 10 billion cash if he just sold more cars the next day, right? The Tesla is the potential. And, we are in business for potential, right? We see potential in our future and potential in our income. That's why we are in business. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's how I see the game. And I think when I go for the next case study and I crush it, right? I destroy their email list
in the best way possible.
In the best way possible. Disgusting results.
Yes.
And then I go to the next client and I do the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, Andrew Tate, like, he's just not one-time kickboxing champion.
4, yeah?
He's full-time, or 3 times.
3 or 4, yeah.
People respect that. You can't call that luck, right? When you win over and over again, people then will see you an expert. Yeah.
And this is really, really important, because copywriters have grown in the last few years in terms of like what it takes to make money. So in the early days, it's like a lot of copywriters think, okay, I must close a deal, close a high ticket deal. Then when you become a bit more experienced as a writer, you're like, okay, so I don't want to close a one-time deal because I got to go find another client.
Exactly.
So I must close a retainer deal, right? So that takes you from, let's say, one-time deal income maybe is a 3K a month. Getting to 10K a month is retainer deals. And then going from 10K a month to 25K a month is not about that. It's result deals. Or you could say maybe a case study backed deals, right? So you keep progressing. And so what I want you to pay attention to here, watching this, Johnny's focus is about getting the case studies, is about getting the results, because you're a business owner, right? So you're creating leverage for yourself, because every time you get a case study, you can use it again and again and again to close more clients. Whereas
Exactly.
just delivering copy is only a one-time thing. You're going to get paid for one time.
Yeah.
So it's like every single time you create results for a business,
Mm-hmm.
your CV, your online presence, your website, whatever it is that you're using to approach a business owner, what you can say on the sales call, all that stuff keeps getting better and better and better. And it becomes easier and easier and easier to close clients. You can choose from the best of the best. And then you just kind of like repeat the process,
Yeah.
right? And we've been working on this together privately, and we've been working on this for the last month because Johnny's been here in Cape Town with me for a month now. So we've been really working this into our brand new program. And you and I have been working on this for the last 30 days, these kinds of concepts of like stacking case studies and, you know, all the different ways to close clients that are currently working in the industry. And, you know, all the other stuff I've actually learned with all the other copywriting clients I've worked with, because you're my client, right? So I work with 72 copywriters that are now at 6 figures, and taken all of the systems and all the things that are proven to work for copywriters, and we've put it all together into one complete system. One complete system, every single way to close clients that actually works step by step. And so keep on the lookout, because it's not out as of this recording, or maybe it will be. I'm not sure when we'll release this. But we've been working on this. It's been like 3 years worth of effort. I mean, for me, it's been 5 years, and then you've been refining the process, really, because you've applied literally everything we were doing in the dojo together from day one. A lot of copywriters, you know, I've shared this with, I said, you know, don't worry so much about the income up front. Focus on getting the result, because that's your leverage. Once you have the case study, and there's lots of different ways to frame case studies and position them to show that you're the best for the application or whatever you're working on. But, you know, once you've got these case studies and once you've got these results, you get to keep leveraging them again and again to close higher and higher priced premium deals. And you've really mastered this process. And the way I see you apply to gigs, I mean, you close like easily whenever you want a client. Pretty much you have a chance. Whereas a lot of people don't even get into the interview or onto the sales call. So no, it's very, very impressive, you know, because the other thing as well is English isn't even your first language, right? And when you first started, you were one of the weaker writers that I was coaching, right? You were one of the very, not the bottom, but like you were pretty weak, you know. I was reading your copy and I was like, yo, you know, this guy it's gonna be difficult to train you up. But you kept practicing, you got good. And again, like, I'm gonna repeat this because it's so important. Don't focus on the income, right? Focus on the leverage that you can create for yourself by getting results for clients, and be aggressive about that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, about like the program that we were creating, the reason why it's such a, I mean, people watching this, I mean, they're copywriters. I mean, to one system, it sounds good, but what they really have to understand is like, I spend like thousands of hours doing outreaches, right? You know, I try every follow-up, every, you know, initial cold outreach, every application question, the way I answer application question, the way I show up on interviews, right? Those are like thousands of hours, right? So like I've made a lot of mistakes. So, but not just me, like we have taken some of the data that like in Dojo is doing like in the past for the past 3 years.
400 copywriters. 4 years of data and 100 copywriters.
And 100 copywriter, that is like hundreds of thousands of hours. I mean, I don't know what else can beat that.
No, there's nothing else.
Right? And so we're just taking out the best stuff, because we don't sell theories. We sell what's actually working. And, you know, the craziest part about our program, I love this a lot, is like we're able to measure, like, if, you know, a lot of time people will say, oh, follow up, right? Like, you know, like that's the way most coaches, like, you know, teach their student. But we engineer a system that we're able to track how much calls are we able to book for every outreach that we're sending. Every call that we get on, how many client can we close from there? So like we can literally predict success and predict the future. And I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, we couldn't do that, right? We couldn't do that unless we had all the data that we have, you know, all the hours that we put into it. And I'm not even hours, like years. So, I mean, that's the craziest part. And
the other thing as well is I didn't do some of these strategies myself to get clients, right? Because there's 12 different ways to get clients that actually work, and will work as long as the internet and social media, especially social media, that's a part of it. And we won't talk about it, but social media is a big part of that. Some of those strategies I didn't do because I didn't need to get clients with those.
Yeah.
You know, you only need 2 or 3 of these strategies to master, but other copywriters in the dojo mastered them.
Yeah.
I've got about 10 guys that got to 10K a month with using Instagram. I've got another 10 guys that got to 10K a month, starting with Upwork, moving to Facebook, and then finally moving to cold email.
Yeah.
I've got another 10 guys that got to 10K a month with email first. And not 10, maybe it's like 8, maybe it's like 12. I'll have to look at the exact data.
Yeah.
But, you know, that they got to 10K with email outreach. And, you know, you really good at like applications, for example, and a couple other copywriters we've interviewed also like really good at applications.
Yeah.
And so like you take all of these together, you have real data, number one. Number two, you know, when you're working with copywriters actively in the industry, the tactics change. So the other thing that we're doing is we're actually going to update the tactics constantly. You know, because I want this to be the one system that is constantly, you know, being updated based on the data that we have in the dojo, not just like, you know, oh, this is a course.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really important part of it. And the other reason I'm really happy I get to co-host this with you is that you're actively making this money as a copywriter, not as a coach. Whereas a lot of coaches, you know, like for a very long time, I held on to extra clients because I didn't feel comfortable coaching people with the idea that I'm no longer active in the industry. Like I still have freelance clients today, but I had even more. 2 years ago, I was making like 25K a month as well. Like I've made 25K a month from copywriting for, I think like 3 years before I really like started to reduce the amount of hours I was a copywriter and increase the amount of hours I was coaching and consulting, because I just wanted to really walk the walk. And it was at the end of 2023 that a lot of the people in the dojo, I don't know if you were one of them, but people were like, you know what, you've kind of earned your stripes. Like, don't worry about if you find that you know, creating more results and helping more people and there's more demand for coaching from you, then you like can release a little bit of that client work. And I was able to refer a couple of those deals to people in the dojo, which was nice. But yeah. Anyway, so that's what we're working on behind the scenes. And so really like what we're also going to talk about in the next 10, 15 minutes is maybe just a couple of like big concepts that I don't think a lot of people understand about client getting that is a part of this one system and really helps you get to 25K. So like even if, you know, you don't apply to join us in the dojo or you don't apply for direct coaching from us, you can still get the benefits and you can still get some momentum and get some results. And then when you get those results, then, you know, you can come back and, you know, hopefully we'll have availability or something, right? We'll have a couple of limited seats because there's going to be a lot of one-on-one aspects to the system too. Because a lot of getting results is all about feedback, isn't it?
Absolutely. The easiest way to like break this down, right? Like, I mean, some guys are like just more ahead of like some people, right? Because maybe they got more experience before doing copywriting. They're like in the workspace for like over a decade. For me, I was a kid. I was 15. I didn't, you know, I'm not just getting started in copy. I'm getting started in the real world, right? So like, I think, you know, for me, I needed some more support, right? Especially some of their dojo students we have, like pretty young guys, right? Like they also have to work on some, you know, basic human skill, life skill. And, you know, some of the, I don't want to, I mean, kind of like street knowledge, right? Like how do the real world works. And then I think like everyone has their own pace and time it takes. And, you know, this is something you just cannot, you know, just pay with a course, right? Like you need a guy who literally just point out like what's the unique challenge they're facing, right? Something they can see, but you can't see, right? So I think that, I mean, that's the most valuable thing anyone can get, right? Is a direct support that you get from someone who is in the trenches day in, day out. You know, I work in a lot of different top campaigns. I mean, the ads you see on a day-to-day basis, I probably wrote run of them, right? So like, it's like, I get to see what's working from, you know, I don't want to say, I feel like the exposure I'm getting from my clients from the campaign I work on, it's like, I don't think any program could really like replace that, right? Because I'm getting the real data from the real market. And, you know, everything that we share in the program, it's like, we're going to update that month after month after month, year after year, because it's never ending. We constantly need to refine the system. And I think that I mean, that's like the most valuable thing you can ever get from a coach. Yeah.
So we've talked about the difference between getting retainer deals and getting deals where you can generate case studies to create leverage so that you can go from 10K to 25K because you can pick the best clients. And one other thing that's really interesting about that is you keep going for bigger and bigger and bigger clients. Why is that?
Well, again, the bigger client I get, Because like I said, you know, if I want to get another client the next week or the next day, I can go out there and have a better conversion than I did back in the day, right? What took me, you know, maybe 100 messages to get one client, it might take me about 5 messages, right? And the reason why is because I just constantly try to get, you know, more infinity stones like Thanos, right? Like I just constantly try to get the bigger client, because the bigger client you get, right, obviously the more people will recognize you. The better your client look, the better you look.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why, you know, from very early on, I was like, you know, this game that I'm playing, it's not about money. It's really just about getting bigger name, because the money is just byproduct of that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of copywriters, they want to get a couple clients so that they can just chill on a hammock and go live somewhere.
Yeah.
And maybe that used to work in maybe the early 2000s, but I don't think it really works today. From the data that I've seen in the dojo, the guys that stay in the industry and make money consistently, they are obsessed with improving and getting better clients and getting bigger names. And a really great lesson I learned as a business owner from one of my mentors back in the day, he said to me, it might sound a bit cliche, but I'm going to explain it. It's like, if your business is not growing, it's dying. Just like, you know, if you're not growing and you're not getting stronger, you're gonna get weaker.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that sounds kind of interesting, but like, you know, whatever. But then he explained the reason for that, and it's actually quite scary when you think about a business, right? If you don't grow as a business, you're not growing, your customers are not going to be able to continue to grow with you. And your customers, what are they hiring you for? They're hiring you to grow in whatever part of their life that they're hiring you for, right?
Yeah.
So if they're not if you're not growing, you're not improving your process and systems, they're not getting a better result. Their life is now stagnating with you, and customers are only there because you're making their life better, right? So if you don't grow, they leave. They go find your competitor, right? Same thing with a team. If you're a business owner, like if you have a team, your team has goals. So if you don't grow as a business, your team eventually decides to leave, right? They're like, oh, I want to go get a career somewhere where I'm going to make more money. And then the scary thing is it's the same with copywriting, right? Because if you're not growing, your client has certain demands for their business. They want 100K a month from email right now, but 6 months from now, after you've been making them 100K a month for 6 months, they're going to want somebody to come in there to make them 120, 130, 140, 150. They want to keep growing. So if you stagnate and you slow down, they're not going to be interested, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, our copywriters that are competing against you are actively improving their careers. So if you're not, if you're not improving your career, then you're going to get less and less opportunity on job boards too, right? Because you're not actually improving at the level you should for the age you are as a copywriter. You know, the amount of results, there's a certain expectation. You've been in the game this many years. If you're not growing and you're not meeting people in the industry, the network, the circle of the top 1% of businesses kind of like moves on without you, and you kind of fall into a slightly, you're also out of touch with what's working right now, right? Because you're not working with the right businesses. And you can write emails for a client for 6 months and you're like, oh, I'm just writing my emails, I'm like so happy. You lose the client, and then you come, and I saw this is terrible. Like last year, this happened a lot because a lot of copywriters were just email copywriters. They were specialists. I specialize in email copy. And that was great. But in the dojo, we were working with, I'm working with 100 copywriters privately in the dojo, right? And most of them make average is $7,500 a month that we make in the dojo. I saw a lot of copywriters starting to close other deals outside of email. Like the ratio started to reduce. Like we were mostly closing email deals in 2023. And in 2024, it was like 50-50. It was like half email deals, half webinar, sales pages, landing pages, VSLs. I was like, that's interesting that we're actually starting to close all these other deals. Yeah. So we picked up on that and we started to shift our focus to say, hey, stop calling yourself an email copywriter, start calling yourself full stack copywriter, and learn all those other skills. Yeah. Because business owners are no longer just hiring for email anymore. Yeah. And then you know what happened is now it's like 80% of the deals in the dojo are not even email deals anymore.
Not really. Yeah.
Most of them are like, you get in with a VSL, you get in with a landing page, you get in with funnel copy, you get in with ads, you get in with organic. Maybe you get the list as like something else, but the market is no longer interested in email copy. And I think it's partially to do with the fact that there's so many copy gurus and coaches that are like, oh, just write emails for free, or write emails for like, write a couple emails, close a couple deals, now you're going to make all this money. Yeah. They like pitch this idea that you can make money from email. So now everybody's an email copywriter, right? So the point I'm making is the market, if you're a copywriter last year and you're chilling on the hammock and you're just writing your email deals, and you lose a client, and now you have to go and get a new client, and you're sitting on Facebook looking for a client, there's no email deals. but I'm an email copywriter. Now you're stuck. It's like suddenly within 3 months, you haven't found any deals.
It's kind of like,
Because you lost it,
yeah.
you're behind. Like you missed out, right?
Yeah.
You're out of touch with what the industry expects of you. And I see a few people that lost all their deals, and they're like, they don't know where the email deals are.
Yeah.
They're like all stressed out and scared because they didn't learn how to do VSLs.
Yeah.
They could have done those VSLs for those clients that they lost, and now they would have some results that they could keep going. So all that to say that really, what is going to make the biggest difference in the next few years is constantly growing. So all the copywriters that say, oh, I want to hit 10K and then I want to chill, it's like, no, you really, growth is not about just making more money. Growth is about keeping up with the rest of the industry. Otherwise, you're going to fall behind.
That's so true. It's kind of like when someone goes to jail for like 40 years, they come out to the real world and it's like everybody using phone. They're like, we didn't have phone back then.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that. It's pretty scary, to be honest.
it is pretty scary, actually.
So it's like, if you're not growing constantly, if you're not improving constantly, you're kind of dying.
Yeah, as your freelance career is getting worse and worse. And there's another thing that's happened over the last few years that has changed the industry, and I don't think a lot of people know that this has happened, and we should talk about it a little bit. You know, this concept of revenue, using revenue as a way to get clients. Like early on, when in my career, it was always like this amount generated for clients, this amount generated for my clients, and that would be like the bragging. The copywriter would say like, I've generated this many results for my clients. And then the other copywriters like, I've generated 200,000. That sounds like 2 million. This guy's like 20 million. And that used to be a very, very big way to get clients. It's like based on how much revenue you've generated. But the industry's completely moved on from that. They don't do that anymore. So if you're looking at revenue as a copywriter and you're like, I just don't have enough results. That's what copywriters call it, right? I don't have enough results to get like big clients. It's not true anymore, is it?
Yeah, that's not true. I mean, if you think about it, if you're constantly, if your whole career competes on revenue, right? Somebody else gonna have better revenue than you, right? Even if you made like 30 million, right?
Someone's got 40.
Someone probably got 40, right? If you got 40, somebody else got 60. So like, you're basically racing to the bottom, right? Because like, if it's kind of like comparing an orange to an orange, right? But you know, somebody else has a fresher orange, they're just gonna take that one, not you.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to get clients, right, if you want to differentiate yourself from like 75,000 other copywriters, you have to like become the apple, right?
Compare apples to oranges instead of oranges to oranges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously, you know, this is something that we do talk about inside the ultimate client getting system. You know, there are a couple of different ways to differentiate yourself besides just revenue. Obviously, we're not going to share that, but, you know, we do share that inside the program. And, you know, a good example is we have, you know, one of our, you know, in the private dojo clients, you know, he got into the industry actually just a couple months ago, right? He didn't have a lot of copy results, right? And if you get into the industry now, it's so much harder than back then. Well, back then, I used to like just pitch for a free trial and I would get a testimonial from there. But now it's like people don't even care about that. So like it's twice harder or even, you know, way harder.
Yeah.
But regardless, he still landed a multiple 8-figure coaching company in a very big, well, it's a very niche company, right? It's a B2B coaching company in a specific industry. And he happened to be one of those guys in the market, right? He basically, the company served his current job title, right? He's actually, you know, actually working in the industry. So basically what we did was we positioned him to be like he's already at the market.
Yeah.
You know, he knows the market. He doesn't even need to do research, right?
Yeah.
You know, he spent 8 hours a day on that job, right? That's like, you know, he spent thousands of hours
with that market. Yeah.
With that market. So, you know, we positioned him that way to the clients, and then he got hired.
Yeah, he got hired.
Right? And multiple 8-figure client, very, very big. You know, you probably will recognize the name.
Yeah. And the cool thing, Johnny, is that the guy he had closed one, I think it was one deal or maybe two. He had closed one deal for like $1,500 or something.
Yeah.
Ever. So when he came and worked with me, I almost said to him like, no, I don't actually think you're quite ready yet because we only work with active copywriters. And he was like, well, I've closed a couple deals before. I said, okay, well, let me see your copy. And his copy was pretty good. And he had a little bit of experience. So I said, all right, let's do it. And it was literally 5 weeks after we started working together, he closed this B2B client because we were comparing apples to oranges, not oranges to oranges. And I tell you, I actually, funny enough, I applied to that gig a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't get accepted.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. So like I actually applied to that same business, and that guy was like a big name, and he had actually commented on my posts on Facebook. He had noticed me, and one of my clients actually messaged me and shared a screenshot. He's like, "Oh damn, so and so just replied to your post on Facebook. Go close them as a client. They're like very big. They're like the big one. You know, you want to." And I was like, "Damn, no!" They replied to me, and I started a little conversation. It didn't really go anywhere. Maybe it was the wrong time or something. But there are a lot of copywriters. I know there was a job post that they made a year ago. 250 applications. How many copywriters in there must have millions and millions of dollars on their resume or their CV or whatever they use to apply? Millions generated, experience in e-com, experience in email, experienced in long form pages, all that stuff. They use all that stuff. And then here's this guy who literally has closed one client. He's never worked with B2B coaches never worked with a 7-figure. I think the first client was even 6 figures.
Yeah.
Apples to oranges, right?
Exactly.
So hopefully from that, the people watching this, the copywriters watching this can see for themselves that it's not about revenue anymore. And this is just one of many cases, right? Like there's a lot of other strategies that we used.
Yeah.
A lot of other ways we outframe and position people differently so that they can stand out. And the best part is that you actually set a better expectation up front, because that business owner was not expecting this copywriter to come into their business and generate billions or whatever. They just wanted this person to do the thing that they were really good at. And that is one little thing I think maybe I can share quickly, is that, one little secret is that when business owners make a job post, or when they say that they're looking for a certain type of copywriter, it's really important that you match what that business owner wants you to do. If they say we're looking for a copywriter with experience in software, and you say I'm an e-com copywriter, even if most of your experience is with e-com, like you're not going to be a fit. You really want to be a chameleon. You really want to be flexible.
Exactly.
You really want to adjust your application. And that's a big thing. A lot of people just have like one application or one website or like one approach, and they kind of just copy paste it across the board for all these different businesses. And then they wonder why they're not the perfect option. Whereas what we've been doing in the dojo for years, you, me, and all the other 6-figure copywriters, is whenever we aim for something, whenever we want to close a client, we adjust our approach, our messaging, just like you would as a copywriter writing to for your client. You just adjust it to show people, hey, this is why I'm the perfect fit for you. So I really love that, and I think it's something that a lot of people will find valuable. And yeah, it's like part of the reason you're at 25K.
Yeah. We shared the exact, step-by-step like framework, how we create a positioning for, we do a lot of practice live. We literally take we do a live breakdown of like one of the posts, like in, job board, and how I usually would apply to a gig like that, how I send the initial outreach, how I answer the application question. We cover all that. And, it's not a crazy skill, everyone can learn that, right? But it's just come down to like, if you're using your brain, right? The UIB method.
The UIB formula.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's like sometimes you just have to use your brain and like, think of it, everything is messaging, right? Like if you're going to write different variation angles for a more sophisticated audience, one is problem where the other solution of where, just like in application, you write different messaging based on that job post or like that client that you want to reach out to. So, I think that, sometimes it just comes down to that, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it really just comes down to messaging. People don't approach copywriting the way that, well, they don't use copy for themselves. I know, like copywriters just use copywriting for their clients. What is another thing you would say people stuck at 10K?
Yeah.
They just get it wrong. That keeps them stuck at 10K. And like a common thing that they do that keeps them stuck at 10K.
Well, I think that, so let's just look at this, like, how do I get from 10K to 25K, right? People, either you increase your retainer with your client, or you climb up the ranks in a company, you get paid more, you get more revenue share bonus and stuff. And I think all of that, it all comes out to this like one thing that a lot of copywriter, don't do it properly.
Hmm.
It's definitely you're basically doing the same thing, sorry. I think it comes down to this one thing. And, if copywriter fix this, everything would change for them. It's the concept of like, let me tell you a story. So like I had this client when, it was a year and a half ago, and they were paying me like a certain amount, I think it was 4.5K a month for a retainer. And at that time I was just purely doing emails, right? I came in as an email copywriter. It was a year and a half ago. And, at that time I was doing really well in email. I try to, go into every loopholes, I try to look into every part of the ecosystem and I try to make it better. I was making them a lot of money with emails, right? And happened to be on a call. I asked the client, like what are the current, beside email, I'm doing a lot of work with you guys, what else are you guys doing right now to make a lot of money? Like I'm just curious, if there's a possibility I can be more involved in that. So they told me SMS, right? And I did SMS for them, and I said like, hey, let me do it for free for a month, and we'll see how it goes, right? Because I saw some of your SMS, and I think I can make it better. I'm a copywriter at the end of the day. I can make it, more tighter, punchier, more compelling. I see some fluff. So I did that for a month, and I basically took their SMS from like 40 grand a month to like 70 grand, which is like an extra 30 grand in recurring for them. But still, they're getting like 70 grand month after month after month just from SMS. And guess what? They out my retainer.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask them. I didn't like try to craft the perfect messaging and try to like send him on Slack like, hey, can I increase my retainer?
Yeah.
They just increased my retainer by $1.5 grand, like 1.5 or something. But the lesson here is that the 1.5 didn't matter at all. It was worthless, to be honest. Like I don't think, that 1.5 changed anything for me. It's more of like
maybe you paid for the flight to get to Cape Town.
Yeah, business class.
No, the 2 months of 1.5.
Yeah,
okay, so
yeah. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Well, it's the results I create. I created an extra $70,000 a month in like SMS case study.
Pretty impressive, yeah.
That means I can create another SMS deal if I want to.
Yeah.
Another one.
Now you're the expert at SMS.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It goes back to my concept is if you want to get paid more in a company or climb up the ranks, it all comes down to upselling for results, not upselling for income. Right? Most copywriters, if you look at, how they try to increase their retainers, like, hey, it's a new year, I'm about to increase my retainer by $1 grand.
Yeah, my prices are going up.
Yeah, my price is going up. Like, dude, who cares, dude? Or like they would be like, hey, I can do list management too. Pay me an extra $2 grand. So like, if you frame it that way, a lot of time to a business owner is like, the money's not coming to my bank; it's going out.
Yeah, I just have to pay the team even more now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when you frame it like, hey, I want to come in and do more stuff for you. I see more potential in this. Let's do more of this. Sure, you might have a month where you do some free work. I think a lot of copywriters get very defensive like that. I don't want to do free stuff, right? Like I value my work. I get paid a lot, but it's like the thing is, business owners don't really care. They care about the result that you can bring on the table. So focus on the results. Again, like it's upsell for the results.
Yeah, that's really
Don't
good.
upsell for income, right? Don't sell. I mean, again, if you go back to copywriting, you guys are a copywriter, right? Like, don't sell features, sell benefit. I mean, it's like a very basic concept.
Yeah.
And the same with like upselling for with clients. Like you want to upsell for results, not upselling for income.
Yeah, upsell the benefit, don't upsell the feature.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. I like that because, well, we do talk about this quite a bit in detail in the system. But what I particularly like about it is that it also gives you opportunities later. So besides the fact that you get the upsell and potentially they pay you later, it goes back to that first concept we were talking about where you collect more case studies, collecting more trophies.
Yeah.
Exactly. Getting more leverage, building more leverage for your results and for what you've accomplished as a copywriter. It gets easier and easier to close clients. And a lot of copywriters watching this at 10K, definitely at 10K, they have a couple of clients they could get some more results for. And they just, either they don't want to do it because they don't want to do it for free, or more likely the case, they don't want to do it because it's pressure. Because taking on SMS, if you've never written SMS before, might be a little stressful.
Yeah.
It is a bit stressful, you
Yeah.
know? Or writing funnel copy for the first time. You know how many copywriters don't grow their income or don't improve? They stay at a 10K a month because they're afraid of, oh, like if I close this ads deal, what's going to happen if I don't get the result for them and I fail? They spend all this money on ads and I fail. That's why I need a one-on-one coach. But besides that, you also have to just have the attitude that you need to get better at these skills because the market's going to grow without you if you don't learn these things.
Exactly.
Like you deep down, you know that you're using your time for only one part of copywriting, and all these other aspects of copywriting are necessary these days. And if you don't learn those skills, you're just going to fall behind. Like everybody in the dojo now, we've all grown past email copywriting. We've all learned all these other skills. Like when I first started, it was just email copywriting. That was our focus. But now it's like full stack. VSLs, you know, one guy in the dojo, his first VSL, $300,000. He made his client $300,000.
Yeah.
His first VSL ever. I don't even think I reviewed that VSL. He just really applied himself and he wasn't afraid of trying. And you have to be brave enough. You have to have the attitude that I'm going to do what it takes because I want to get my clients results. And then once he got that VSL result, now he has this whole new avenue of revenue he can generate for himself. Because if they say we need a VSL copywriter, he can apply. You know, there was a gig 6 months ago, Johnny. There was a guy that put out a gig and he's like, we're looking for 3 positions. We're looking for a conversion rate optimization expert. We're looking for an email copywriter. And we're looking for an ads copywriter. Maybe you know which one I'm talking about. There was it was an email that went out to his list and he's like, I'm helping a couple businesses place some people. And then a few days later, he posts on Facebook his perspective. There was like 280 people that applied for the email copywriting position. And I think it was 9, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, but within 9 to 20 people, somewhere around there, that applied for the ads copywriter position. Yeah, 20, like max. I'm pretty sure it's 9. I'm going to say 9. So 9 people versus 260.
Yeah.
That's 26 times less competitive just by learning one skill. And ads are actually easier than email copy. Ads are much easier in my experience. Ads are much easier than emails because, well, for one thing, when you're writing ads, you're just writing directly to the offer a lot of the time. You're writing stuff that's more related to like what they care about immediately. Whereas with email, sometimes because they're on the list every day, you have to come up with like new ways to do stuff. But with ads, you're coming up with that best angle, that best unique selling point. So it's actually a lot easier sometimes to write ads.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's like, well, why are all these people, why are all these copywriters applying to this 260? Like you're just another name at that point. And then all those guys, they all have just, I don't know, like $5 million in email revenue, $5 million in sales for this. And like, they're all competing the same way. Whereas you go for one of the 9 position, one of the 9 copywriters that applied for the ads position, you compare apples to oranges. You have all these case studies you've collected. You're just going to get the deal. You just get all the deals. And you know what the funny thing is? You probably close the ads deal. And then 3 months from now, you say, I really like what we're doing with the ads. I think that we can make a couple of optimizations to the actual funnel as well to improve the performance of the ads. I'd love to be involved in that. How can I get involved? Then you make a couple tweaks there. Boom, new case study. Now you're running ads and you're getting a retainer for optimizing the funnel constantly, maybe another $2,000 a month. Oh, you know what? Like maybe we can increase the performance by another 20% if I actually close, if I close them, you know, on email as well. So now you're like, hey, I love the ads. We're doing well there. VSL page, let's say it's a VSL page, is performing really, really well. I would love to be involved in the email side of things as well, right? I'd love to help you guys get the results. Love to. Like, how can I be more involved in the email campaigns? Boom. Now suddenly you've got this, you started with $1,500 deal. Now it's a $3K deal. Maybe now it's a $6K deal because you're doing the whole thing. Or maybe it's much more. Maybe it's like $3K up front, $8K then, and then $12K for the whole stack. And you got like 10 different case studies from all these different things, all from one client, just because you had the guts to go out there and get these other deals.
Exactly.
Now it's like, oh yeah, but like, you know, what if I hire a one-on-one coach? It's like, bro, hire a one-on-one coach. Let's say it's $5,000 a month. Even if it's $5,000 a month, this one client is $12,000 a month, $5,000 to your coach, $7,000 in your pocket. Within a year, you have skills that no one else in the industry has besides like the very, very top copywriters. You can't be replaced. And you took 7K home every month. 7K for 12 months. What is that, like $84,000 or something profit, right? So you got $84,000 in your pocket you wouldn't have had. You have all these skills that will forever change your career. You have case studies worth millions and millions of dollars. Oh yeah, but coaching is really, really expensive. Coaching is really, really expensive. And like, even if you don't get coaching from like an expensive copywriter, like $5,000 a month is pretty expensive copy coaching. You know, Dojo is not like it's like a fraction of that. But even then, it's still a good deal.
Yeah.
I think it's still a good deal, you know?
It's
So it's
no
like,
brainer.
this is what you need to do. You either need to like, you just have to go out there and grow. So no, I really appreciate that. That's a really great perspective.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually it's new perspective. It's like they had like a gig with like 3 positions, and one of them got 250, 256.
Yeah.
And the other one got like 7, 8. That's interesting. So like, I mean,
just go for the gig that nobody wants.
Yeah.
You get that gig, and then you get into the business. It's like your Trojan horse, you know?
Yeah.
You get in like that, and then you spread.
I mean, the easiest way to beat competition, just do something that 99% of people won't do.
Yeah.
That's it. That's very cool.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, and that's what we've really been doing, and we've really been focusing on this in the Ultimate Client Getting System, because in the system we talk about what it actually takes, like the winner's attitude that you really need to have, because a lot of this stuff really does come down to like fear of rejection, fear of being exposed for not being as good as you think you are. You have to drop your ego. There's a lot of other things, like there's like the traits of success and the prices that you have to pay to be successful. And we talk about that in detail in the system, right? But these things are necessary, and you have to take a lot of, it's a lot of this. 10K to 25K is normal work. It's a little bit more work perhaps, but when you have better clients, it's not a lot more work. It's the same. I know a lot of copywriters that work to the bone and they're making less than 10K a month. And then I know copywriters like you're working really, really, really hard as well, but you're probably working the same amount as somebody that makes 7K a month. And even the guys making 3K a month, a lot of them making 3K a month. There was a guy that we started working with. I think he was making less than 3K. His name was Matthew as well, actually. It was kind of cool. So he was making like $2,500 a month, writing 7 emails a day. Okay, $2,500 a month, 7 emails a day. So he was like burnt out. Now he makes 6 figures. And he works less than he did back then, just by these concepts that we've been talking about today. So if a copywriter wants to work with us, even if they're not at 10K yet, even if they're at like, let's say 3K and they're ready to take their career to the next level, they can click a link in the description. Click a link in the description. Either we're gonna have the wait list if we're full, or we're gonna have an application page, something like that. Have a look in the description if you wanna get our help and you wanna learn exactly what you need to do to close clients, because yeah, Johnny, this is the best thing that I've put together ever, and I'm so glad that you were a part of this, because, you know, between the two of us, with all of our years of experience closing clients and working with the very, very best in the industry, I don't think that there could have been a better co-coach, because really, and like we just finished this today, like we finished recording this just before this interview, like the final piece of the training that we're gonna update it, but the final piece for now, and I'm like really excited about this. Like I want to go close a client with this stuff. It's really, really strong. And I don't think I've seen anybody really talking about this stuff ever. And I you know, it's funny, like it sounds like a sales thing, like no one talks about this, but like legit, no one talks about this stuff. No one talks about this stuff. And there's a reason no one talks about it, because it's not sexy, because it's not easy, and because it actually works. And you can't sell that stuff usually because it takes time, but it actually freaking works. And we've helped I've helped 72 copywriters to hit 6 figures. Directly, one-on-one. So I've taken all of their stuff, and a lot of them are actually sharing stuff in this system as well. They've actually got some recordings of what they use and how it worked for them. So yeah, if you want to be a part of this and you want to take your income to the next level and you're really serious and you don't want to slow down, you don't want to die, you want to keep growing as a copywriter, and you want to work with the best and make the money that you actually got into this industry to make in the first place, links in the description. Johnny, it's been really great chatting with you. Thanks so much again. And we'll talk again about some other secrets to get to 25K very, very soon. And of course, in our coaching calls with the dojo.
Can't wait.